Fair warning, this video will include me saying F word a total of 18 times, because this is the only thing this fucking book has to offer. Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about a dark romance novel called Breaking the Girl by Eva Marx. This book was published in the summer of 2024 and, at least as of yet, is a standalone novel. As per usual, we will start this video with a short synopsis and then proceed to the non-spoiler review and wrap this video up with the spoilers. If you haven't had a chance to read Breaking the Girl yet, then do not worry, I will make sure to let you know when the spoilers begin. So in this dual POV book, we follow a 22-year-old girl named Layden and her best friend's father, Marcus. Marcus is a renowned psychiatrist specializing in hypnosis, and a devoted single father who dedicated his life to making his daughter, Rylan, his first priority. Behind the closed doors, however, Marcus is not nearly as good of a guy as he appears to be in the public eye. The longer he tries to keep himself away from his daughter's best friend, the more his monstrous side wants to come out to play. Staying away is getting harder by the day, especially since Layden seems to want him just as much as he wants her. Something that Rylan is not so happy to learn about. And when one thing leads to another, Marcus is pushed to the place where he feels like the only way to save Layden from his daughter's wrath is by kidnapping her. Now, if you have seen some of my videos before, then you might have gathered by now that I'm not the biggest dark romance reader out there. Yet one day, multiple copies of Breaking the Girl just magically appeared at work. No, not this Breaking the Girl. This Breaking the Girl. And so my friend and I went down the rabbit hole trying to understand who has made a mistake and ordered in a book none of us have ever heard of. After spending more time than needed trying to uncover the mystery, we simply had to accept the fact that whatever happened, happened, and there's nothing we can do about it. However, researching this book also led me to this Breaking the Girl. I read the synopsis and thought to myself that if a bit of shockingly inappropriate dark romance won't be able to get me out of my reading slum, then nothing will. So I bought it and started reading in the very same evening, and honestly, in the beginning, I was very unsure if I would even end up talking about this book. I was rapidly reaching the half point, and Breaking the Girl didn't feel neither good nor bad. Just so very average. It is far from being a masterpiece, and the writing style of Eva Marx will not get her a Nobel Prize in literature anytime soon, but it was fine. At least it didn't bore me as much as Haunting Adeline or enraged me by its stupidity as Den of Vipers did. I was simply entertained by the fact that the book is super easy to read and that something is constantly happening. Breaking the Girl was my version of Coco Melon, and I was nothing but an overstimulated toddler. And then I reached the halfway point of the book. I was talking with a friend who is an avid dark romance reader about all the reasons why I think she would not like this particular novel, and during this short conversation I realized that I do not like this book either. And the more I read, the more tedious it got. Breaking the Girl is incredibly repetitive. I am not exaggerating saying that the whole book could be summed up by he said, she disagreed, he got mad, they fucked. And even the conversation causing the disagreement is largely the same. And as soon as you catch up on the fact that nothing new is being introduced to the plot, the book really starts to drag. To add to that, this paper-thin plot that we do get is illogical. And surprisingly enough, I'm not talking here about how the characters in the book pretend that the police department simply doesn't exist in their universe. No, I'm talking about the fact that on many instances within the story, our main female lead gets, well, there's no other way to simply explain it, so let's go with nearly fucked while she's asleep and she doesn't wake up. There is a man right there touching her, rearranging her, sharing bodily fluids, if you know what I mean, and she just sleeps. Now, I don't know about you, but I wake up as soon as someone breathes the wrong way in my vicinity. But then again, Maybe this is just my jealousy talking, as I can't remember the last time I got an uninterrupted 8 hours of sleep. And then we have the hypnosis. Now, I'm obviously not a professional in the field of hypnosis, not an amateur either, but my very quick 5 minutes Googling session told me that while it is possible to influence, hypnotize people, as well as it is possible to instill a suggestion into their mind over a long period of time, I couldn't find any evidence that would suggest that people can be borderline controlled or pushed to orgasms just by randomly saying a word. But then again, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe these Harry Potter shenanigans are actually realistic. But speaking about the characters, they suck. Marcus, Layton, and Rylan, all three of them. None are interesting to read about, all are relatively bland, while being simultaneously mentally unstable, and very, very one-dimensional. Despite the author telling me 50,000 plus times that Marcus and Layton love each other and are literally obsessed with one another, I didn't feel it. It seemed very much of a tell and not show kind of a situation, which is never something you want in a book. Layton, besides being one of the two main characters, is just a blank page of nothing. We are told that she is kind and so very kind, and that she's created for Marcus, and that's about it. And Marcus, well, let's put it this way. There are dangerous and unhinged men in dark romance novels. And there is Marcus. I'm not sure how messed up he was supposed to be, but I don't think that the author actually wanted him to be clinically insane. But that's who he is. Even when you read his chapters, when you get to be in his head, he doesn't just act crazy, he is absolutely crazy. I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I might even actually prefer the hypocrisy of Zaid Meadows over this delusion of Marcus. Last but absolutely not least, Breaking the Girl has an overabundance of sex scenes, which leads to bad pacing of the book. And while we'll talk more about the pacing in the spoiler review, I would like to take a moment and vent about those sex scenes. Now, I fully understand that it is borderline expected for a dark romance novel to have exceptionally long and exceptionally explicit sex scenes. It's all good, but maybe pace yourself. I actually complained to my fiance about this particular aspect of the book when I was approximately 70% in, and he pointed out that if I turn on porn with the purpose of watching porn, then I shouldn't be mad when said porn doesn't include enough dialogues. And while I believe that there are a lot of people out there who think just the same as my fiance does, or even go as far as reading only the spicy chapters of any given book, I wholeheartedly disagree. Well, not about the porn part of the conversation. I would never expect them to have interesting dialogues. But a book still has to have a plot. And when your main male character spends more time with his fingers inside the main female character than out of her, then even the hottest book sex becomes redundant. And talking about hot sex, I can't really say that any of Marcus and Layton interactions were particularly sexy to me. Birth control tampering, somnophilia, hypno-king, and doll-king, none of that is my cup of tea. But let me be very loud and clear here. That is on me. I read the introduction by the author as well as the list of the trigger warnings, and despite seeing all these things I knew I won't particularly enjoy, I still proceeded to read this book purely out of curiosity. So if these things I have mentioned or any of the other trigger warnings sound interesting to you, me not enjoying the spice shouldn't deter you from giving this book a try. The lack of logic, lack of plot, and boring characters, however, should. That being said, let's move to the spoiler review so we can discuss all of this in a little more detail. So in the end of the non-spoiler review, I promised to elaborate more about the pacing issues I have noticed in the novel. So here it is. In my humble opinion, the never-ending sex scenes is the thing that messes the most with the pacing of the book. I mean, it was relatively interesting to read and observe the way Marcus and Layton interacted before he took her. And then, as soon as she wakes up in that new house, she, a young, very inexperienced virgin girl, is being hardcored fucked with little to no preparation. So when you start your spice with hardcore sex, where can you go from there? You already lost all the buildup, all the tension. Now whatever happens next won't actually feel new or daring. And if Marcus held himself back just a little bit more that first time, then we could work ourselves up to the bigger, more messed up things together with Leighton. But no, instead of adding something new to their sexual interactions, the author just decided to pile up as many of them as possible, mostly in weirdly unfortunate times, and I just think that not every scene needs to end in horizontal tango. Oh, you drugged me and kidnapped me, and I have no idea where I am, and I have no phone and no way to ask for help? Well, I guess I could put all these urgent questions aside and just fuck. Oh, you purposely dropped me into the pool knowing very well that I'm terrified of water and can't swim. I guess we don't need to talk about how messed up you are and how I was more willing to let myself drown instead of giving up the control and asking for your help. We can just fuck. Oh, I'm dead asleep, but you can't seem to be able to relax? No problem. Why don't you just fuck me when I'm sleeping? As long as I don't wake up, then I guess no harm done. Oh, your daughter might have kidnapped your therapist, and maybe it would be smart to deal with this time-sensitive issue and make sure that she's not about to die. Sure, we could do that. Or we could just fuck. Oh, you want us to have therapy sessions so we could talk about all the things that scares me and prevents me from loving you just the way you are. Sure, we can do that. After we fuck. Come on, why can't they just have one damn conversation? When that first therapy session came along, I actually even got mildly curious, even though I can't really say that I understood Marcus' need to get his questions answered when he already seemed to know all the answers either way. Leighton showed herself to be very open and easy to understand. She loves him, she wants to be with him, but she's afraid of his daughter's reaction, and she's also scared to learn that the man she has spent half of her life being obsessed with has drugged, kidnapped, and imprisoned her. I think that she is being very clear about what she feels. It's Marcus who is fucked in the head. It's him who keeps on playing mind games and keeps her constantly naked and borderline starves her, at least in the beginning of their time together. I mean, the author legit made a serious deal out of Leighton not having any food for a day or so, and then proceeded to use the food as a way for Marcus to bribe her answer his questions, just for Leighton to eat one ravioli and then get fucked again. Overall, those therapy sessions amounted to nothing. We have Marcus over here going on about, I need to make sure that she loves me before I tell her that I'm saving her life. She needs to love all of me, even the monster inside me. Okay then, let's look at the facts. She spends all the time in your house. She fucks herself while watching you having the time of your life. She hasn't dated or fucked anyone else because she wished to be with you, and she told you that. She said that she is in love with the man she knows. Now, I, of course, do not have a psychiatrist degree like our buddy Marcus over here, but isn't it better to just be the man she already knows and loves and then introduce her into all of the fucked up sides and desires gradually from the place of comfort, understanding, and open communication? But I guess not. I guess it's better to pretend that the man she has fallen in love with is solely a mask and the monster whom she doesn't know and whom she is afraid of, because let's be honest, he might kill her, is the real him. And then get all pissy when she pushes him back because she's kidnapped, naked, malnutrition, assaulted, and almost drowned. Sure, it makes sense. I guess the only thing we learned from those therapy sessions is that Leighton had some sort of information locked up inside her head that she was too afraid to even remember. So she blocked those memories altogether. All those memories are simply of Rylan expressing how she doesn't like her father's girlfriends. Something we knew from the very beginning of the book. Truth be told, one of the main issues of Breaking the Girl is that everything you need to know, everything that might hold your interest, is willingly given to you right from the get-go. They fuck as soon as they get together. No build-up. We learn that Rylan is a psycho who killed Marcus's girlfriends and is out to get Leighton. No tension. 0. And I don't know about you, but the fact that they both have been so into each other before even the whole kidnapping made the stakes in this book incredibly low. Like, you know that Rai won't kill them. This is still a contemporary romance. There will be a happy ending. So the only way to keep the tension going is to have our characters on the opposite sides. But from the page 1, they are in love, and then they spend the whole book telling each other that they love each other, and then arguing for no fucking reason. A better solution, in my personal opinion, was to make this initial love one-sided, which of course would also make Marcus even bigger creep and their sex scenes even less consensual. But honestly, at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound. Marcus is already fucked, there is no saving him. I mean, he tattooed Layton's birthday over the tattoo of the birthday of his own daughter. Now that's icky. Tattooing your child's birthday makes sense. That's when you became a father. That's when your life changed forever. But tattooing your partner's birthday? Isn't there a better way to show how important she is to you? I don't know, maybe a tattoo of a daisy, since she always smells like it? Or tattoo the date you first realized you loved her, or kidnapped her, or any other special occasion. Oh, I know, maybe tattoo the date you started to mess with her birth control. Now that's a fun little reminder of the great things to come. I'm sorry, but these two sound way too irresponsible to be parents. Marcus messes up her pills before even kidnapping her, not knowing for a fact that he will even do so, essentially leaving her to have unprotected sex with someone else without her herself even knowing that she is off the pill. Also, a lot of women use birth control not only for preventing pregnancies. Maybe Layton was trying to regulate her acne or mood swings or reduce the pain she gets while on her period. Anyhow, I'm obviously more worried about the lack of Layton's birth control than Layton herself is. She just heard Marcus confess this and thought, well, we are in the middle of this clusterfuck where you kidnapped and imprisoned me and refused to ever give me any underwear, and your daughter is desperate to kill me, but yeah, sure, babies are cute. All I'm saying is, do not try to entrap your girlfriend into a pregnancy. Have your breeding king, but let her decide when she is ready. Now, before we end this video, let's take a moment to talk about the ending of the book, also known as the Rylan situation. While I understand the need Marcus has to protect his daughter... Wait, scratch that, I don't really understand it. Especially since he is a psychiatrist himself, and the fact that he hasn't tried to find her help even after he realized that she murdered 2 people is beyond me. But for the sake of the argument, I can pretend that I understand it, because that's what the whole conflict of the book was based on. Marcus wanting to protect his daughter and his girlfriend at the same time. From the self-assigned guilt and the obligation to Rylan, Marcus ignored the innocent dead women in his yard and continued to live his life without any female companionship. Okay. But by the end of the book, Rylan has killed a total of 3 people, kidnapped and assaulted 1, and then shot her father and herself during a manic episode. And to that, Marcus thought that the best solution is to pretend that Rylan is suicidal and temporarily put her into an institution. It's mind-blowing that she is not apprehended for the murders in the first place. Because are we just gonna pretend that none of the victims had family, or friends, or co-workers, or anyone at all in their lives who would notice that they are missing? And then that no one actually pointed out that right before they went missing, they spent a lot of time with Marcus or Rylan? And if we're already going to pretend, then I guess we'll just have to pretend as well that the psychiatrist Rylan kidnapped and assaulted is not going to tell police what happened out of the goodness of her heart? Like, seriously, we are just told that she decided not to say who attacked her. But why? Now Rylan will just chill in the institution for a bit and then go back to her life, still being a danger to society, but now Marcus will be occupied with his new wife and an army of babies, so he will not even be there to babysit Rylan. Not that he did a great job in the first place, though. I don't know, I'm just saying that you shouldn't put multiple murders in your book if you're not planning them to have any actual impact on the story. Anyhow, even if we forget all the actual non-direct to the plot related criticism, such as one-dimensional characters, bad pacing, or lazy editing, and take this book at its face value, I still wouldn't be able to say that I enjoyed this book. In fact, Breaking the Girl gave me the biggest ick I can remember getting from a romance novel. And no, it's not because of those two sex dolls Marcus specifically ordered to be made to look like Layden, and it's not because of the engraved butt plugs, and it's not even because of how much he enjoyed watching her pee, though this last point did come pretty close to being a deal breaker for me, I'm not gonna lie. This though, this one sentence is when I knew that this is it. There's no turning point. Take what you want, baby. Open up and use my cock as a pacifier. But that's just my opinion. What about yours?